Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Coveted84, coming at you with a video where I'm going to show you something kind of special that I picked up recently that I, haven't had a chance to show you guys. I wanted to, not just like flash it on a camera, real quick as part of a haul. I wanted to really devote some time and show you guys how cool this thing is. So I wanted to give it a little spotlight because I've never owned a book like this, and I've been waiting for the right time to kind of sit down and go through it with you guys and show you what's going on. So yeah, without further ado, let me show you. In this box, it comes in this cool little box here. Uh-oh, who's that? Silver Surfer. And I really like that it comes in this kind of protective box. And what I have is the Silver Surfer, John Buscema's Silver Surfer Artist Edition. Now, if you guys aren't aware of these Artist Edition that IDW puts out, they actually have a good number of them out. And IDW apparently buys up lots of original art, a lot of original art pages from really classic artists, John Buscema. I think they have a Kirby one, etc., etc. But you know, I had to go with the Surfer Edition, man, and I'm glad I did. This thing is beautiful. Let me show you kind of the front and back cover before we dig into the inside. Obviously, you have the cover of Silver Surfer 1. The Surfer image himself is kind of embossed. I don't know if embossed is the word, but it's definitely like glossy. It's raised off of, and you can see as the light hits it, it's raised off of the page, and it's kind of not a matte material. It's kind of glossy. So they have this really cool galactic kind of background to it. Great little John Buscema piece on the back there. This thing is just glorious, man. So yeah, kick back and relax. We're just gonna hang out and go through this book together, and hopefully you enjoy the ride as we do, man. So these artist editions, what's really cool about these is that the reason they're so big is they're printed in the same size pages that the artists do their original artwork on for the pages. As many of you probably know, the size of a comic book page by the time you're holding it is not the same piece of paper as when the artist originally does it. It's this size. It's considerably bigger, so they can do their thing, get nice and detailed, have room to work, and then it gets reformatted to the size of the comic book pages that we read. So wait till I show you some of these pages. What they do with these books is really something. This book it's going to give us issues 5, 6, and 8 of Silver Surfer, the Stan Lee John Buscema run, and then you get some additional pages towards the back. So let's get into it. Let's start Silver Surfer number 5. Bow. So this is what we're working with here. Again, they purchased the original, or at least have, I don't know, no, they must have bought them, yeah. Unless they just got rights to scan them or something, but these are the original pages scanned and printed in really high quality paper into these books. And as you see, we're about to see this issue, Stan Lee and Buscema, inked by Sal Buscema, John Buscema's younger brother, which I always thought was cool. Or as they say, embellisher. I heard someone say that there is a distinction between inker and embellisher. Like, I guess an embellisher would do a little more than strictly ink the pencils that's laid out, and they kind of add a little more flair or something like that. I'm not sure if that's the case, or if that's just a way to make the inkers feel cool. But here we are. I think what's cool, what we're seeing on a lot of these pages, as you can see, Buscema signed at the top of each one. These are scans of the original. And I think what we're seeing is that Marvel way of writing comics. Because I've always heard that, I never heard it specifically about when Buscema worked with Stan Lee, but I heard it a lot with Kirby, that Kirby would basically more or less plot out the issue and lay everything out, and then Stan Lee would just add dialogue and words to it and do his thing. And I always wondered, like, how the hell does that work? And I think now that I'm looking at these pages, I think I see how that works. Because underneath a lot of, like, look at these 3 panels, for instance. Let me bring them up close. These bottom 3 panels. Underneath this first one, it says, Surfer unconscious, sees something. Boom. Next one, someone comes. Third one, it's his girl. Now, so if we look, by looking at that, I'm assuming the Marvel method of writing means an artist would lay out the panel. Sorry for this kind of hokey setup. I hope it's coming through okay. I think what this means is that an artist would lay out the panel and they would just write little brief couple words about what's going on that panel, and Stan would do his thing and jazz it up, It's his girl is what he writes there. Shalabal, my own true beloved. So I think that's how it works. And that still earns respect for Stan in my book. I know sometimes people take little shots at our boy Stan, but I think he earned his keep. So let's proceed through. I mean, these pages, they're just like, it's just really cool, man. Buscema is something else. Like we got Silver Surfer in a little trench coat. He's just really detailed, the folds in the jacket. He looks like a real badass. Silver Surfer stealing some money, dressed like a gangster, kind of funny. Now, when it comes down to the Silver Surfer, there are 2 artists that I think have the definitive Silver Surfer to me, and it's Buscema and Kirby, And when I kind of put thought into if there's one portrayal that I prefer more than another, it's tough because they're both, masters, and they both have a great distinct style. But I think I'd have to go with Buscema as drawing my favorite rendition of Silver Surfer. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that why as we get more into the book. I'll show you some examples of why. But I feel like this was worth kind of pointing out. So you notice that this page looks a little different. It says here, the original top tier of page 17 was never inked. A change was made at the editorial level that necessitated a revision. Buscema redrew the scene, and it was adhered to the artboard. So, yeah, I guess they wanted to change these panels, so he drew those, cut, paste. And when I saw that, it made me wonder, like, what was the story change? Like, what made them want to change it? So, story-wise, you have Silver Surfer kind of in the streets. You know, he was kind of dressed up in that trench coat, as you remember, and he rolls up on this guy. And here we have the way the page was going to roll out was the guy pulls a gun, other guy kicks gun out of dude's hands, so it's like, you know, a little skirmish between a couple guys, and Silver Surfer rolls up with that wad of cash that he had before, and he's like, here, take this and scram, dude. And he bounces. He's like, I don't care about money. He just diffused the situation. But I think they must have said, you know what, we don't want the guy to get off that easy. We want Surfer to show a display of strength, you know? Because you'll notice the scene of where the criminal is doing the action, pulling the gun, kicking the guy, gets changed to Surfer lifting a car with his cosmic powers and smashing the car on the ground in a display of strength. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's continue. Great pages, again. I don't know if I should go completely page by page, but, you know, we're just hanging out. Fast forward through as you feel needed, but... Right, there's a cool image. That's like Reed Richards, kind of like one of his nullifier weapons. And you got Silver Surfer all decked out in that gear so that he can channel his power into the gun. You got the Stranger, classic Marvel cosmic villain. Lower right hand side, we got a little cameo of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Or I guess the Masters of Evil, as they say here. Magneto and the Masters of Evil. Toad, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. Little cameo of the X-Men, old school X-Men right here. That's kind of cool. As the Stranger recounts a story. Boom. And you know what, when you see pages like this, I'm a guy that is an appreciator of inkers, man. They're not just, what's the movie, Chasing Amy? So you're a tracer, calling inkers like a tracer. Really isn't, man. They got an important task to put a page together, and I've even had more of an appreciation for it recently, doing the Graders Note show with my boy Metarog, who's just Roger's a wealth of comic book knowledge, and he even has a really keen eye for what the inker's doing and how they affect the finished product and stuff. So kind of taking notes and listening to a guy like Metarog has even heightened my awareness and appreciation for what the inkers are doing and how they contribute. What they do and don't do on a page is important. Here's something I want to point out, because this page highlights it well. You're going to notice there's a difference between a couple of these issues. There was a change in how they rendered Surfer along some of these issues. Like right here, you'll see that there's lots of black lines, basically just making them look shiny, right? The basic way of saying this is that a lot of lines here, and you can tell that's a shiny dude just by looking at the way that's penciled and inked, right? And you'll notice in I think the next issue or a later issue, they start rendering him differently, and they leave him almost completely blank, and they rely on the colorist to give him like that shiny look. And personally, I prefer this look, where they're inking the shininess into it and then color on top of that. One thing about Buscema, man, that everyone who I've ever seen speak about Buscema's art always just mentions the dynamic way that he lays out action and form and all that, and almost every page you see that. Just really dynamic poses that are kind of unusual, but he pulls it off and always makes it look natural, you know. The dude knows how to just draw the figure in a compelling way, you know. I think we got to the end of this issue. Bow. So there's a cool. This is issue number 6. Really nice opening page of issue number 6. You can see what looks like, I think, whiteout. Whiteout on the original page, and also what looks to be like revision of the dialogue in the text in here. It's like penciled in, because don't forget, letters in this day were literally lettering it. They were inking it right in there, which is kind of, I think anyway, right? I think they inked it right inside the bubble. We still got Sal on embellishments. And here we go. Here's an example of what I was talking about. Of now when you see Surfer, he's got a lot less of those like shiny lines throughout his body. And it's just real kind of just solid like that. And it's not like they added a ton of, like, the coloring. I can show like a, if I remember to, I'll pop up like an image of the finished product so you can see what I mean about what they did with the coloring to make him look shinier when they drew him this way. And maybe a comparison or something, I don't know. But yeah, you'll notice there's a lot less of these shiny detail lines in him. And, you know, I kind of prefer it the other way. But again, the movement that Buscema's always doing, it's always real fluid. To hear someone smarter than me break it down and dissect it, check out my buddy Alec. White Whale Comics has a cool artist spotlight on John Buscema. It's worth checking out. Yeah, man, I'm so happy to have picked this up. Look at these creatures' faces, man. That's just good stuff. Again, with the body form that he does on these trolls. I'll skip through a head of pages. I don't want to keep you guys all day, but man, it's almost every page is so fire. Oh my god, see, what if I missed that one? Look at this guy. It's almost a shame to miss any of these freaking pages because they're all so epic, you know. One sad thing about that I was a little disappointed on with the issues that they chose to include in this book. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. No editing. Like I said, we're just hanging out with Comic Head. My alarm went off. One thing that I was a little bummed on about the issues that they have is the early Silver Surfer issues really did not include Galactus. And I would have really appreciated having at least one really nice Galactus page in this book, you know, but we don't get it. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead a few pages. Here's some great line work here. I mean, dude, this thing is incredible. It makes me kind of want to pick up more of these. Here's issue number 8. I think this is when Mephisto gets in the mix, and little brother Sal is no longer embellishing or inking. Oh, here's something worth noting, is I guess they don't own every single page. So you'll notice these are the original pages. See, you can tell when they're the original page, right? And the page that they're missing, for the sake of keeping the, every page of the story included, they just have like a copy of the art. And it'll say, 1 of 5 pages in this book not scanned from original art. So, there's some of that, but then you jump right back to the original stuff. It's so cool going back through this in this size with these original page scans. You get to see all the detail, all the little notes. I do notice that as we got later in these issues, there's less of those notes in the margins, like we were seeing back in issue, 6 or 5. Ooh, great page, yeah. Let's bring that up a little closer for you guys to enjoy. Wow. Buscema killing it. Buscema, Brooklyn native. I always thought it was cool that Sal, his little brother Sal, inked a lot of the stuff. Here's some more scanned pages, not from the original art. How cool must it have been to have been working on comics with, with your brother? I mean, I guess it depends on your relationship, but, my brother and I both dig comics, and I don't know. When I picture the idea of him and I drawing, penciling and inking a comic book for Marvel, sounds pretty cool. Let's see what this says. I think this might be some more like cropping out of a page. Silver Surfer 1 through 7 were double-sized. The 8th issue wasn't... I'm reading this up here. The 8th issue was intended to continue that trend, but during production of the book, the decision was reached to cut it in half, making it a standard 20-pager in the first of a 2-parter. Buscema scrapped the existing art for the bottom of the page and drew this new piece in its place. The accompanying text by Stan Lee explains Marvel's reasoning for shortening the issue. So boom, that was a cutout page. They popped in this one. And there's a little... I won't read that. Mephisto. I think Buscema created Mephisto. Okay. Additional pages. And these kind of hop around between... So original pages from issue 1, 7, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. How cool would it have been if in this additional page they had the original art cover to Silver Surfer 4? That would have been something. But it's not. So, those are 2 things that I would have really loved to have, is at least the one Galactus page and Silver Surfer 4. Because boom, right here is Galactus' hand. That's the most you get. That's from Silver Surfer 1, if I'm not mistaken. That's a great page. I am glad that they included that one. But damn, all you get is Galactus' hand. Unfortunately. Like, boom, look at that. Just to show how Buscema gets down on form, right? And the dudes always look so dynamic. The way Surfer's whipping on the board right there is just something else, man. Dope. Like the speed lines coming off him and shit. Just crazy. Yeah, man. So, ooh, Spider-Man. Yeah, let's show you some Spider-Man before I go. So here you go. You've seen some tricks. It looks like that's cut out and pasted into the page. It's cool because you can see all the original tricks that they did before the days of digital, So here we got Spider-Man in the mix. I think they have some better pages of Buscema's Spidey. Right there. Skyrider of the Spaceways and the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Boom. hit him with the old thwip. It looks like, I don't know if that means they had to like, because it's like blue pencil on the Spidey webbing. Not sure what that means, but you can see Buscema's pencils underneath it still. Pretty cool. Hopefully the audio is not too bad on this because I don't have a microphone and I'm talking into my phone that I'm recording this on, and I'm kind of moving around, so my apologies if this was a lousy video, but I'm still just excited to show you guys this dope book. Oh my god. Ooh, that's a cool one. See, this is when you can tell the difference in inking. So, inking by Chic Stone. I'm not familiar with Chic Stone, but you can see how Chic does real heavy outlines with the ink when, you know, on his work compared to some of the stuff we've seen earlier. So, you know, inker does have, because it's still Buscema art, you know. That's just a good example of how an inker leaves an impression on the book, on the finished product. And there we go. I think that's the last page. Almost the last page. What is the last page? Oh yeah, this is the cover gallery. Let's go through the covers. Silver Surfer 1, of course. One of the classics. Okay. One of the classics. This one's pretty interesting. The cover to Silver Surfer number 2, which apparently was revised, you know? Because if I'm not mistaken, that is the finished product. And maybe that was the original and they just thought it wasn't, they needed Surfer bigger or something like that, so... You know, these guys both look exactly the same, so it looks like they literally just cropped them out. Cropped them, enlarged them, slapped them on the page. That's all she wrote. And I think that's what we're looking at when we see the orange, pink, or peach type color on the page versus when you're just looking at the regular pencil and ink. I think what we're looking at there is like glue. Dried up glue or something like that. For adhering the cut and paste. Number 9 and 10. Sky Rider of the Spaceways. And there's John Buscema biography on the last page. And I really like that. The inside cover page is such a dope image. The boy Surfer flying away. There you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this wasn't boring. I hope you thought that, you know, hope you enjoyed our journey through this crazy IDW Artist Edition John Buscema Silver Surfer. They aren't cheap, man. They're not cheap. I really wanted to get my hands on it. So I might consider picking up another one. It would really have to be the right artist for me to want to dish out, you know, basically $100 for, yeah, that's what I paid, by the way. I paid $100 for it. And yeah, if I was to dish that out for a book like this, it would really have to be for, you know, either a really favorite character of mine or an artist. So I'd consider a Kirby one. Who else? I'm not sure. It'd have to be old school classic ones because you're not going to get these kind of, you know, old school pages from any modern stuff. So it needs to be 60s and 70s type books. Anyway, this has been long enough. There you go. Hope you enjoy. Have a good one.